Have you ever felt like you're missing out on something? Like you're drifting through life, only superficially touching the surface of what life truly offers? You wake up, do the same repetitive things, and go to sleep with a lingering question. Is this all there is? It's a persistent feeling, isn't it? That there's a deeper truth out there, a key to unlocking a truly meaningful and fulfilling life. But here's a harsh reality. Most people never find it. They live their whole lives chasing illusions, drowning in regrets, and missing out on lessons that could completely change their existence. Imagine lying on your deathbed, looking back at your life, and realizing you missed the most important thing. You were too busy, too distracted, too afraid to face the truths that could have set you free. It's a terrifying prospect, but for many, it's a reality. Today, we're going to confront that nightmare head-on. We will explore uncomfortable truths together, harsh but essential lessons to live a more meaningful life. We will not shy away from the inconvenient, nor hide from the truth. We will dig deep, analyze, and change. Lesson 1. You are replaceable. Let's start with a brutal truth. You are replaceable. Yes, you heard that right. No matter how special you think you are at work, in your family, or among your friends, the harsh truth is that life will continue without you. Your role, however important you think it is, can be filled by someone else. This isn't just true at work, it's true in every aspect of life. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you can start living authentically. Take a moment to reflect on that. We live in a world that constantly tells us we are unique, irreplaceable, the best at what we do. But the bitter truth is that this is just a lie, and it's a lie that is trapping you in a vicious cycle of ego and fear. I know this might sound harsh, but it's reality. I learned this the hard way many years ago. I worked at a job where I thought I was irreplaceable. I worked long hours, sacrificed my personal life, and convinced myself that the place would fall apart without me. I was indispensable, or so I thought. One day I was fired without warning. Everything I had built, everything I used to define my identity, was taken away. The company didn't collapse. They continued to operate and replaced me. Everything went on as if I had never existed. That was a heartbreaking truth to learn, that I wasn't as important as I thought I was. That experience taught me a profound lesson. The world does not revolve around any one person. No matter how important you think you are, the machine keeps running with or without you. And here's something that's even more uncomfortable. This isn't just true at work. It applies to every aspect of life. Think about your family, your friends, your social circle. Life will continue after you're gone. People will grieve, they will miss you, but eventually they will move on. Friends find new friends. Families adjust to new dynamics. That's the cold truth of the continuation of life. This isn't meant to depress you. It's meant to liberate you. Once you accept that you are replaceable, you can start living for yourself, not for the approval or validation of others. You can let go of the need to be indispensable and focus on what truly matters, being true to yourself and living your life authentically. So, the next time you feel the pressure to prove your worth or desperately cling to your role, remember this. You are replaceable. And that's okay. Embrace it and start living for the person who truly matters, yourself. Life isn't about being irreplaceable. It's about making the time you have meaningful to you, not to anyone else. Accept this, and you'll find a freedom you've never known. The truth about being replaceable may sound cruel at first, and may even hurt one's ego. We often tend to believe we are the center of the universe, that our absence would cause a major disruption. However, upon further reflection, I realize this is a liberating lesson. Accepting that we are replaceable helps us see ourselves more objectively. We are no longer trapped in an arrogant ego, believing ourselves to be indispensable. Instead, we can focus on living meaningfully, making positive contributions to life, and appreciating what we have. When we are no longer worried about pleasing others or trying to meet societal expectations, we are free to explore who we truly are. We can pursue our passions and live according to the values we believe in. That is true liberation. I have had similar experiences as those in the original video. When I was younger, I also had a job that I thought was the cornerstone of my life. I worked hard, neglected myself, and believed that I was irreplaceable. However, an unexpected event made me realize that I was just a small cog in the overall machine. This at first left me shocked and disappointed, but later it helped me change my perspective, understanding that life is not just about work and that there are many more meaningful things. Lesson 2. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Let's talk about comfort. We all love it, right? The warmth of a soft chair, the security of a stable job, the predictability of daily routines. It feels good, it feels safe. But here's a controversial truth that you need to hear. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Yes, that soft, warm bubble you're living in is suffocating your potential. We're taught from a young age that comfort is something to strive for. We work hard to build a comfortable life, a secure life. But here's what they don't tell you. Comfort is a trap. It's the velvet-lined coffin of your dreams. It lulls you into complacency, numbs your ambition, and prevents you from pushing your limits. Think about it. When was the last time you grew as a person when you were comfortable? Growth doesn't happen when you're relaxing in your comfort zone. It happens when you're out there, facing challenges, dealing with discomfort, and overcoming adversity. Look at anyone who has achieved something significant. Do you think they did it by always being comfortable? No. They embraced discomfort, faced their fears, and pushed through pain. Comfort never leads to greatness. It's the struggles, the failures, and the difficult times that build character and strength. Let me tell you a personal story. A few years ago, I was stuck in a rut. I had a comfortable job, a nice apartment, and a predictable schedule. I thought I was happy, but deep down inside, I felt stagnant. I wasn't growing. I wasn't challenging myself. I was existing, not living. One day, I decided to step out of my comfort zone. I quit my job, sold all my things, and moved to a new city with just a suitcase and a whole lot of uncertainty. It was terrifying, but it was the best decision I ever made. The discomfort I faced forced me to grow in ways I never thought possible. I learned new skills, met new people, and discovered a resilience I didn't know I had. Discomfort became my teacher, my guide. Every challenge I faced, every fear I faced head-on, made me stronger, more resilient. That was the total opposite of comfort, and it was exactly what I needed to grow. The Stoics understood this very well. They believe that comfort dulls the mind and weakens the spirit. It is the enemy of progress. They purposefully sought challenges and embraced discomfort in order to build strength and wisdom. And this is the mindset we need to adopt if we want to truly grow. So the next time you find yourself sinking into the warmth of your comfort zone, remember this: comfort is the enemy of growth. It's a seductive lie that's keeping you from reaching your full potential. Challenge yourself, step into the unknown, embrace discomfort. That's where the real magic happens. That's where you grow. Remember, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Don't let the allure of a comfortable life stop you from living an extraordinary one. Take that step today. Embrace the discomfort. It is the only way you will grow. The lesson about comfort being the enemy of growth is one of the lessons that resonates most with me. We often tend to seek safety and comfort, but this very thing holds us back from our development. The comfort zone is where we feel safe, familiar, and not much of a challenge. However, this very safety prevents us from discovering our hidden potential. We cannot learn new things, cannot face difficulties, and cannot mature. Conversely, discomfort, challenges, and new experiences are the catalyst for growth. When we step out of our comfort zone, we are forced to learn, adapt, and overcome our limits. These very difficulties and challenges help us become stronger and more resilient. I have experienced phases when I felt too comfortable. I was used to a stable job and easy life and had few challenges. However, looking back, I realized that I did not grow much in those periods. When I decided to change jobs, move to a new environment, and face new challenges, I felt difficult and insecure. But those very things helped me learn a lot, mature, and discover potentials that I had never known. 3. Lesson 3. The future is a trap. Get ready for an uncomfortable and uncompromising truth. The future is a trap. Yes, you heard that right. It's a seductive, toxic illusion that keeps you trapped in a never-ending cycle of anxiety and dissatisfaction. If you keep living for tomorrow, you'll never truly live today. Let me break this down for you. From the time we're old enough to understand, society has drilled this idea into our heads. Save for the future, plan for the future, worry about the future. It's all about the future, isn't it? But here's the hard truth. The future is a lie. It's a concept that doesn't exist, except in our minds. Think about it. The future is nothing more than a projection of our hopes, fears, and expectations. It's a distant, hazy illusion that keeps us from embracing the only thing we truly have, this moment, right here, right now. You are living in a dream, constantly chasing a horizon that keeps moving further away. I used to be like that. I was obsessed with my future. I had a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a retirement plan. I constantly projected my happiness into some distant future. I told myself, once I get that promotion, I'll be happy. Or, when I have enough savings, I'll start living. But guess what? Those moments came and went, and I kept chasing another future milestone, never content. And here's the kicker. While I was busy planning for the future, life was happening all around me. Opportunities passed me by. Relationships faded because I was too focused on what was next instead of what was present. I was living in a self-made prison, shackled by my obsession with the future. It took me years to realize that the future was stealing my present. Think of all the times you've told yourself, I'll start living when I have more money, more time, more success. You're putting your life on hold for an illusion that may never happen. And even if it does, it will never be the way you imagined it. The future keeps you in a perpetual state of almost there, but never truly arriving. I learned this the hard way. I remember working long hours at a job I hated, telling myself it was all for a better future. I missed birthdays, anniversaries, time with my friends. I kept thinking, just a little more, and then I can relax and enjoy life. But every time I reached one goal, there was always another one waiting. The future became a never-ending chase, and I realized that I was sacrificing my present happiness for a future that was never guaranteed. Let's get real for a moment. Have you ever seen someone on their deathbed wishing they had spent more time at the office or worrying about the future? Never. They regret not living more fully, not loving more deeply, not living fully in the moments that truly matter. The future is a thief that steals the joy of today. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. They taught that the only thing we have is the present moment. The past is gone, the future is uncertain. And it is our obsession with the future that prevents us from fully experiencing life as it is. It is time to break free from those shackles. The lesson about the future is a trap is also one of the important lessons that I want to share. We often tend to be obsessed with the future, and sometimes forget that life is happening in the present. When we focus too much on planning for the future, we tend to feel anxious and insecure about things that have not happened. We miss the precious moments in the present and always feel dissatisfied with what we have. The truth is that we cannot control the future. We cannot foresee what will happen. The only thing we can control is the present moment. So instead of worrying about the future, we should focus on living each moment to the fullest and enjoy what we have. I used to be someone who was very worried about the future. I spent a lot of time planning and sometimes forgot that I was alive. I missed opportunities and did not enjoy the simple pleasures in life. However, after realizing that I was stuck in the future, I started to change. I have learned to live every moment fully and enjoy what I have. I have become much more relaxed and happy. Lesson 4, desire is a poison. Okay, it's time for some more uncomfortable truths. Desire is a poison. Yes, I said it. It's not your motivator, it's not the compass that leads you to success. It's a toxic force that corrupts your soul and traps you in a never-ending cycle of wanting more. It's time to wake up and realize that the very things you crave are the very things that are keeping you from true happiness and peace. We live in a world that constantly tells us that we should desire more. More money, more success, more possessions. It's a never-ending chase, fueled by a culture of consumption and comparison. But here's the harsh truth. The more you desire, the more miserable you become. Desire is a poison that erodes your contentment and traps you in a permanent state of dissatisfaction. I used to be like that. I used to believe that if I could just get that next promotion, buy that fancy car, or move into a bigger house, I would finally be happy. I chased every shiny object that society dangled in front of me. And you know what? Every time I achieved something I wanted, the joy was fleeting. The high was temporary. Before long, I found myself wanting more, needing more, craving more. Look around. We are bombarded by advertising and social media posts that glorify a life of luxury and excess. They tell us that happiness is just out of our reach, in the next purchase, the next achievement, the next desire to be fulfilled. It's a vicious cycle, a never-ending chase that leaves us exhausted and empty. Desire is not your friend. It's a poison that seeps into your mind, telling you that you are not good enough as you are, that your life isn't complete without the next thing. It convinces you that happiness is always somewhere out there, just beyond your grasp. But here's the truth. The more you desire, the more you suffer. I knew someone who seemed to have it all. He had a well-paying job, a beautiful house, and the latest gadgets. But he was always chasing the next big thing, always wanting more. He worked himself to exhaustion, neglected his family, and eventually burned out. All the desires, all the striving had left him empty and broken. He had everything he thought he wanted, and yet he had nothing at all. The Stoics understood this very well. They taught that desire is a trap, a poison that blinds you to the beauty of the present moment and the abundance that is already in your life. They knew that true happiness doesn't come from fulfilling every desire, but from letting go of them. The lesson about desire being a poison is a strong wake-up call to modern consumer society. We are often caught in the cycle of desire, and sometimes forget that real happiness does not lie in external material things. When we constantly chase desires, we will never feel satisfied with what we have. We always want more, and sometimes forget that we already have many things to cherish. When we place happiness in external material things, we will always feel dissatisfied and miserable when we do not achieve what we want. We will always feel lacking and never feel enough. True happiness does not come from fulfilling desire, but from knowing enough, cherishing what we have, and living according to the values we believe in. When we can let go of meaningless desires, we will find true peace and happiness. I used to be a person who was dominated by desire. I chased shiny things on the outside and sometimes forgot that the most important things were right beside me. However, after realizing that I was stuck in the cycle of desire, I started to change. I have learned to live knowing enough, cherish what I have, and focus on the things that truly matter in life. Lesson 5. Other people's opinions don't matter. Let's get real about something that most people are too afraid to admit. Other people's opinions don't matter. Yes, all those words, all those judgments, all those social pressures are meaningless. They're a toxic fog that clouds your vision and prevents you from seeing who you truly are. And let me tell you, caring about what other people think is one of the biggest traps you can fall into. It's time to wake up and break free from this societal prison. We're conditioned from a young age to seek approval from others. We're told to fit in, to conform, to live up to expectations that are not our own. We measure our worth by the yardstick of other people's opinions. But here's the cold truth. What other people think of you doesn't matter. It doesn't define you. It doesn't shape your destiny, and it certainly doesn't determine your happiness. Let me tell you a personal story. I used to be a people pleaser. I cared deeply about what others thought of me. I wanted to be liked, accepted, and admired. I bent over backwards to meet everyone else's expectations. I wore masks, played roles, and silenced my true voice just to fit in. And you know what? It was exhausting. It felt like living in a prison of my own making. I remember one time I had an opportunity to take a big risk and pursue a passion that truly excited me. But I didn't do it. Why? Because I was afraid of what others would say. I thought, what if they think I'm crazy? What if I fail and they laugh at me? That fear of judgment held me back, and I missed out on an incredible opportunity, all because I cared too much about other people's opinions. It took me a long time to realize that the only opinion that truly matters is my own. The moment I stopped caring about what other people thought, my life changed. I started making decisions based on what I wanted, what felt right to me. And let me tell you, the freedom that came with that was indescribable. Look at it this way. People are going to judge you no matter what you do. You can live the most ordinary, predictable life and they'll still find something to criticize. You can pursue your wildest dreams and they'll say you're unrealistic or foolish. Other people's opinions are like background noise. They are irrelevant distractions that shouldn't determine your path. The lesson that other people's opinions do not matter is a necessary reminder in the world we live in, where social media and the evaluation of others can greatly affect our lives. When we care too much about other people's opinions, we become insecure about ourselves. We always feel the need to please others and will not dare to live according to who we truly are. When we learn not to care about other people's opinions, we become freer. We can make decisions based on what we want and believe, instead of having to chase after social expectations. I used to be someone who was very dependent on the opinions of others. I had always tried to please everyone, and sometimes forgot that I also had my own desires and needs. I was very afraid of being judged, and did not dare to pursue what I was passionate about. However, after realizing that other people's opinions did not define who I was, I started to change. I have learned to love myself more and be true to myself. Lesson 6. Control is an illusion. Get ready for a truth bomb that will shake your foundations. Control is an illusion. Yes, the idea that you can control everything in your life is a comforting lie, a fairy tale we tell ourselves to feel safe and protected. But the reality is that control is just an illusion, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll find true freedom and peace. We're taught that if we just work hard enough, plan carefully enough, and stay disciplined enough, we can control our destiny. But here's the controversial truth. No matter how much you plan, no matter how much you try, life is still unpredictable. You can't control everything, and the more you try, the more frustrated and stressed you'll become. I used to be a control freak. I planned my life down to the minute. I had backup plans for my backup plans. I thought that if I could control every aspect of my life, I could avoid failure, pain, and uncertainty. But you know what? Life had other plans. My carefully crafted world crumbled when I unexpectedly lost my job and a close relationship fell apart. No amount of planning or control could have prevented that. Think about it. We're obsessed with controlling our careers, our relationships, our health, even our emotions. We live under the illusion that if we just manage everything perfectly, we can avoid the chaos and uncertainty of life. But here's the harsh truth. The universe doesn't care about your plans. It has its own agenda, and it's not afraid to throw you curveballs. The Stoics understood this very well. They taught that we cannot control the external world, only our reaction to it. They knew that the more we try to control, the more we suffer. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the more it slips away. I had a wake-up call a few years ago. I was at the peak of my career, feeling invincible. I had everything planned out, my career trajectory, my personal life, my financial goals, and then suddenly I faced a serious health issue. All my plans, all my control became meaningless in the face of that reality. I realized that control was just an illusion that I clung to for comfort. Here's the problem. The more you try to control, the more you set yourself up for failure. Life is messy, unpredictable, and often unfair. You can't control other people, you can't control the weather, you can't control the economy, and you certainly can't control everything that happens to you. Trying to do so is like fighting against the ocean. It's a battle you are guaranteed to lose. Here's a controversial thought. The idea that you can control your life is a form of arrogance. It's a refusal to accept the chaotic and uncontrollable nature of existence. It's a denial of reality. True power lies not in controlling everything, but in accepting what you can't and adapting to it. The lesson about control being an illusion is one of the most difficult to accept, but is immensely important in order to achieve peace in life. We often tend to believe that we can control everything in our lives, from work, relationships, to health, and even unexpected situations. However, the reality of life always has unpredictable factors that we cannot control. When we learn to accept that we cannot control everything, we will reduce stress and anxiety. We will be able to live more comfortably and peacefully, instead of always trying to control things that are beyond our reach. I used to be a person who liked to be in control. I had always tried to plan everything, and sometimes felt anxious and insecure when things did not go as I wanted. However, after realizing that control was an illusion, I started to change. I have learned to accept things that are uncontrollable and focus on things that I can influence. 7. Lesson 7. Relationships are not forever. Here's a hard truth that will shake some people. Relationships are not forever. They come with an expiration date, and pretending otherwise is setting yourself up for pain and disillusionment. The sooner you accept that people come and go, the sooner you'll find true strength and peace. It's time to face the uncomfortable reality that no relationship, no matter how deep or meaningful, is permanent. We live in a world that worships relationships. We're told that finding that other half will complete us, that true love will last forever, and that friendships are eternal. But here's the controversial truth. Every relationship has an expiration date. People change, circumstances change, and what once was can fade away. Clinging to the illusion of forever just leads to disappointment. Let me tell you a personal story. I used to have a friend who I thought would be in my life forever. We were inseparable, we shared everything, and I couldn't imagine my life without them. But then life happened. We moved to different cities, our priorities shifted, and eventually we grew apart. It was painful. It felt like a betrayal, but it was a clear reminder that relationships are ephemeral. Think about it. How many relationships have you seen fall apart? Couples who promised each other forever, friends who swore they would always be there for each other, family bonds that seemed unbreakable. And yet, time and circumstances eroded those connections. It's not a failure or a tragedy. It's just the natural order of things. Relationships are like seasons. They change, they evolve, and sometimes they end. The Stoics knew this. They understood that clinging to the idea of forever in relationships only leads to suffering. They taught that we should cherish the moments we have with others, but also accept that those moments are fleeting. It's a difficult truth to accept, but a liberating one. I had a romantic relationship that I thought would last forever. We had plans, dreams, and a future mapped out. But then things changed. We grew in different directions, and we eventually had to let each other go. It was devastating at first, but it taught me a valuable lesson, that no matter how strong a relationship may seem, it is not forever, and that's okay. Here's a controversial thought. Expecting relationships to last forever is a form of delusion. It's a denial of the natural flow of life. By accepting that relationships are temporary, you free yourself from unrealistic expectations and the pain that comes when those expectations aren't met. You learn to cherish the present moment and the relationships you have without clinging to them. The lesson about the non-permanence of relationships is perhaps one of the most difficult to accept, especially when we often place a lot of hope and expectations in the relationships in our lives. We often tend to believe that our close relationships will last forever, and sometimes forget that everything in life changes and is temporary. When we learn to accept that relationships can change and end, we will free ourselves from expectation and disappointment. We will cherish what we have and no longer fear when things change. I have experienced major changes in relationships. I have lost close friends and have experienced painful breakups. However, after accepting that relationships do not always last forever, I have learned to cherish what I have and no longer fear parting ways. 8. Lesson 8. Death is your best friend. Prepare for a truth that will shift your perspective on life. Death is your best friend. Yes, you heard that right. Death, the thing we're all taught to fear and avoid, is actually your greatest ally. It's not an enemy to be dreaded, but a constant companion that brings meaning, urgency, and clarity to your life. It's time to stop running from it and start embracing it. We live in a society obsessed with avoiding and denying death. We're told to live as if we're immortal, focusing on the present and ignoring the inevitable end. But here's the controversial truth. Death is the most honest part of life. It's the great equalizer that strips away all the superficial nonsense and forces you to confront what truly matters. Let me tell you a personal story. A few years ago, I had a near-death experience. I was in a serious accident that could have taken my life. As I lay there, not knowing if I would make it, something clicked. I realized I had been living as if I had all the time in the world. I had put off my dreams, neglected relationships, and wasted time on things that didn't matter. It was only when faced with death that I realized the truth that my time is limited. Think about it. How many times have you put things off, thinking you'll do it later? Do you often take the people in your life for granted, assuming they'll always be there? We act as if we have countless tomorrows, but the truth is, our days are numbered, and that's exactly why death is your best friend. It reminds you to live with urgency and intention. The Stoics understood this very well. They believed in the concept of memento mori, remembering that you will die. They saw death as a guide, a motivator to live a purposeful and meaningful life. Instead of fearing it, they embraced it as a natural part of existence that brought urgency and meaning to life. It's a powerful mindset that can change the way you live. I had another experience that brought this home to me. I lost someone very close to me. It was a sudden, unexpected loss, and it broke me. In the time that followed, I realized how much time I had wasted on petty arguments and meaningless pursuits. I saw how fragile life is and how truly precious each moment is with loved ones. Death taught me to cherish the present and live with a sense of urgency and gratitude. Here's a controversial thought. Ignoring death is the real tragedy. When you refuse to acknowledge it, you live a life of complacency and regret. You take things for granted, you procrastinate, and you waste time on things that don't matter. By embracing death as your best friend, you gain a perspective that cuts through all the noise and helps you focus on what is truly important. The lesson about death being your best friend is perhaps the most profound and difficult to accept, but is the most important lesson for living a meaningful and fulfilling life. We often tend to avoid death, but facing the finiteness of life will help us cherish more what we have and live more meaningfully. When we are aware that our time is limited, we will have the motivation to live a purposeful life, pursue passions, and make positive contributions to society. I used to be very afraid of death and had tried to avoid it by any means. However, after experiencing losses and events in life, I realized that death is not something to be feared, but is an indispensable part of life. I have learned to cherish every moment and live with a sense of purpose and meaning. So there you have it, 8 blunt and controversial lessons that can change your life if you let them. These are not just abstract ideas or philosophical musings. They are powerful truths that, when embraced, can transform the way you live, love, and navigate this wild ride we call life. It's easy to go through life on autopilot, ignoring the stark realities we've discussed. But the truth is, living in denial only leads to regrets and missed opportunities. By confronting these truths head-on, you open yourself up to a life of greater meaning, richer experiences, and true fulfillment. Think about it. Are you ready to continue living in the shadows, ignoring the uncomfortable truths that shape our existence? Or are you ready to step into the light, face these realities, and start living a life that is truly your own? I've been where you are. I lived in fear of these truths, clinging to illusions and avoiding the uncomfortable. But when I finally embraced these lessons, everything changed. I found a sense of freedom and clarity that I never knew was possible. And I want that for you. Here's what I want you to do. Take some time right now and reflect on these lessons. Think about how they apply to your own life. What illusions are you clinging to? What truths are you avoiding? And most importantly, what changes can you make today to start living a more authentic and fulfilling life? Life is not a perfect journey, and we do not need to be perfect. Accept your mistakes and shortcomings and learn from them. We only have the present moment, so enjoy and cherish what we have. Do not worry too much about the past or the future. Focus on what is happening right now. Each of us has our own purpose in life. Seek meaning in your life and live according to the values that you believe in. The truth may sometimes be difficult to accept, but facing the truth will help us grow and mature. We cannot control everything in life, so learn to let go of the uncontrollable and focus on what we can influence. Remember that life is a constant journey of learning and development. Do not be afraid of challenges and difficulties. Embrace them as opportunities to grow and discover your potential. And most importantly, live a life that is meaningful, fulfilling, and true to who you are. I hope these lessons are not just fleeting ideas, but will become a guide to help you navigate your life. Remember that life is not a race, but a journey to discover and develop yourself. Do not be afraid of challenges and difficulties. Embrace them as opportunities to grow and become stronger. If you feel that what I shared today is valuable, if you find yourself in agreement with these things, help me spread this message to more people. A small like from you can help this video reach more people and maybe change someone's life. Share your thoughts, feelings, and experiences about these lessons. What have you learned? Do you have a story to share? I would love to hear from you. Share this video with your friends, loved ones, or anyone who you think needs to hear these things. And do not forget to click the subscribe button so you do not miss my future videos. We will continue this journey of self-discovery together and live a more meaningful life. Thank you for spending your precious time to watch this video. I hope that what we have shared today will bring you meaning. Live fully and meaningfully, and remember that you always have worth.